Okay, so in a not so shocking move, one of these deep blue Democrat states has removed Trump from the election ballot. That includes the Republican primary for next year and the 2024 general election, where Trump is supposed to go against allegedly Joe Biden. It could be someone else. But the state of Colorado, the Supreme Court, the highest court in the state of Colorado, has declared that Trump is an insurrectionist because of what happened on January 6th. Trump was never charged nor convicted, anything like that. In fact, the protesters that day were not charged with insurrection. But the Supreme Court has stated we don't need a trial, we don't need a conviction, we don't need him to be charged. Based on our judgment on how we perceive things, in our skewed left-wing liberal way, we are going to use the Supreme Court power in the state of Colorado and declare that Trump is ineligible to run for any office in the state of Colorado. And this is extremely divisive. We have more states trying to follow California, Gavin Newsom and them out there. They're saying they're going to use all the legal power they can to remove Trump from the ballot. The last time this happened, the last time a presidential candidate was removed from the ballot from states, was Abraham Lincoln. When Abraham Lincoln was removed from 10 states back in the 1860s, and we know what happened after that. So a lot of people say, oh, it was about states' rights, which has something to do with it. Well, states' rights are in jeopardy right now because of Democrat authoritarianism, because of the fascism going on in the Democrat Party. So Vivek Ramaswamy came out swinging in favor of Trump immediately because, unlike some of these other presidential candidates, Vivek has his hand on the pulse of the American people. He knows the culture, he knows what's going on, how everyday people are thinking, and he knows, even though he's trying to run for president himself, that this war against Trump can be used against anybody. Nikki Haley and Fat Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis, they're thinking, well, the Democrats are just attacking Trump, but if I become president, I'm going to be an honorable and decent president, and they're not going to attack me. They will do the same thing to any Republican, and these presidential candidates are not seeing it, except for Vivek. So Vivek came out and said he's dropping out of the Colorado primary. If Trump's name is removed there by a left-wing Supreme Court, by a bunch of liberal judges abusing power, then he's not going to be in it either. So Ron DeSantis was asked about this. Let's look at a couple of clips to see his reaction to this.
There was no trial on any of this. They basically just said, what, you can't be on the ballot? I mean, how does that work? What's the limiting principle for that?
Your take on it, where we are right now.
Well, what's keeping a Republican state from saying Biden shouldn't be on the ballot? He let 8 million illegal aliens into this country. Maybe we can say that is an insurrection or a rebellion. So what the Colorado court did had no precedent in American history, and it's not something that's going to be upheld by the Supreme Court. But ultimately, what we want this election to be about is not about the January 6th or all the legal issues and all the controversy that's swirling around the former president. What we want the election to be about is the failures of Joe Biden, what we're going to do to turn the country around. That's how we frame the election to win. I think the Democrats would like nothing more than to keep doing all this legal stuff and make 2024 just a referendum on all the trials and everything else that's out there. It's not fair. It's politically motivated. But the Democrats are going to use that to their advantage. There's no question that this Colorado thing, I think it'll be reversed, but that's just the opening salvo. I think they're going to come with a lot more stuff, and that's going to be really a storyline as we get into 24.
And real quick, fellow GOP 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy saying he will remove himself from the Colorado ballot unless Trump's eligibility is restored. Would you do the same?
No, I think that's just playing into the left. I think the case will get overturned by the Supreme Court, but I've qualified for all the ballots. I'm competing in all the states, and I'm going to accumulate the delegates necessary. That's the whole name of the game in this situation. But I do anticipate that decision was political and will get reversed.
So I can see his point of view. Ron DeSantis is mentioning something that I mentioned before, the referendum. Because when it comes to the general election, whoever the referendum is on, whoever the American people focus on more, that's who's going to lose. So Ron DeSantis is like, we have all of this legal stuff going against Trump. They're trying to push all these trials. They're trying to basically harass the hell out of him until the election. But Ron is saying, okay, I'm going to ignore that. I'm not going to get involved in any of these Democrat games, and I'm just going to run the way I need to run without worrying about what they're doing to Trump. And that way we can keep the referendum on Joe Biden. We can talk about the economy. We can talk about what happened in Afghanistan that they want to forget about. We could talk about his authoritarian vaccine mandate. We could talk about how he told the Supreme Court to go F yourself and try to forgive student loan debt illegally. We could talk about how he's letting millions of illegal immigrants in the country. So that's what Ron DeSantis wants to focus on. He wants to keep that referendum on Biden. But the problem is the media is not going to let that happen. And another problem is he's, like I said, he's not realizing that they're going to use these dirty tactics against anybody that they don't like, any opposing Republican. So if Ron becomes the presidential nominee, they're going to destroy him also with the same stuff. So he needs to realize that he's wrong on this situation. You have to fight fire with fire. He said, well, can't a red state do the same thing to Biden? Well, why don't you do it? You're the governor of Florida. Colorado just removed this man. You get made up a good point about illegal immigration. You and your allies in Florida throw Biden out the ballot. Why don't you do that? Because we have, right now, the Democrats are trying to cancel the election, the primary election in Florida, and automatically get a delegates to Biden. Why don't you use your political power? You are a governor right now. Use your political power to fight fire with fire. These Democrats are dirty as hell. They're fascist. They're authoritarian. And you're sitting here trying to be the good guy. You're trying to be one of these old school 1990s, early 2000s Republicans. And all you're going to do is lose. You try to be the nice guy while they're being dirty as hell. You are going to get beat. Be a nice Republican. Get a pat on the back. Help the media say, oh, this is a good Republican. We like him. Be like Liz Cheney and all of those guys. And watch the Democrats destroy you. You have to call out the Democrats for what they're doing. You have to put pressure on the RNC. Drop out of the Colorado race. All of y'all drop out. Let the American people see just how dirty the Democrats are. All of y'all drop out of that race and declare Colorado irrelevant. Damn those delegates over there if they want to act like that. He said, well, it's going to get thrown down in the Supreme Court anyway. Well, that may be. Hopefully it does, because if it doesn't, then the country is really in trouble. So if you're so confident that the Supreme Court is going to throw it out, is it going to hurt you at all to right now declare that you're not going to be in the Colorado primary? Because if the Supreme Court throws out this ruling that the Colorado Supreme Court said, then you can drop out now and then you'll all be right back in it once the Supreme Court makes its ruling. What's the harm in that? But you're talking about you want to win by any means necessary. You're going to let the Democrats, and there could be some Republicans involved in this too, but you're going to let these Democrats play these dirty, authoritarian games, throwing one of the most popular people in the country off of the presidential ballot. And you're just going to sit here and let it happen. You're going to sit here and say, well, hey, if they use dirt and grime to get rid of Trump, I'm cool with that. It'll help me win. Then if that's the case, Ron, then you lost all support on the right except for these never Trump lunatics who will never be president. Continue being a nice guy or do what the hell you need to do and throw Biden out the ballot in Florida. So let me know what y'all think. Leave me your thoughts below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.